Fluorescent lights buzz overhead, their harsh white glare reflecting off sterile hospital floors. I stand outside my brother's ICU room, my hand gripping the metal doorframe so tightly my knuckles have gone white. The smell hits me first, that sharp chemical scent of antiseptic that seems to coat the back of my throat. Through the glass window, I can see the machines flanking his bed, their rhythmic beeping marking time like a countdown I don't want to hear. His chest rises and falls with mechanical precision, the ventilator doing the work his lungs can't manage right now. My mother hovers near the doorway, her arms crossed tight against her chest. She's not crying. She never cries. Her face is locked in that expression I know too well. Tense, controlled, like she's holding back a dam with nothing but her jaw muscles. My father paces at the far end of the hall, hands shoved deep in his pockets, his eyes fixed on the linoleum tiles as if they might reveal some answer he's been searching for all his life. The waiting room's recycled air feels suffocating. I pull my hoodie tighter around me, but it doesn't help. My heart hammers against my ribs, part dread, part something uglier I don't want to name. Because here's the truth I'm not supposed to say out loud. I'm angry. Standing in this hospital, with my brother fighting for his life behind that glass, and I'm still carrying years of resentment like stones in my chest. I want to break the silence. I want to scream. I want to demand why we're all pretending this is the first time our family has been shattered. But I know what would happen. I've seen it 1,000 times before. The way my mother's eyes would go hard, the way my father would walk away, the way I'd become the problem again instead of the symptom. Can I face my brother without bitterness? The question throbs in my skull like a migraine. Is there room for forgiveness in these cold, antiseptic halls? I don't have answers. All I have is this strange flicker of something I can't quite identify. Not quite hope, not quite dread. Just a sense that whatever happens in the next few hours might change everything or destroy what little we have left. 3 years ago, things were different. Or maybe they weren't. Maybe I just hadn't admitted the truth yet. I'm sitting on our living room couch, the worn fabric rough under my palms. My brother stands in the center of the room like he's accepting an Academy Award, and in a way, he is. Mom's smile is stretched tight across her face as she holds up the plaque, some regional business award for his startup. Dad's arm is draped across my brother's shoulders, and he's beaming with this pride I've never seen directed at me. We always knew you'd do something extraordinary, Dad says, and the words land like punches to my gut. I shift on the couch, trying to make myself smaller. I'd gotten a promotion at work that same week, nothing flashy, but solid. I'd mentioned it at dinner 2 nights ago. Mom had nodded absently and changed the subject to my brother's upcoming presentation. Dad hadn't even looked up from his phone. Speech, speech. Mom's voice has that forced brightness that makes my teeth ache. My brother launches into this humble brag routine he's perfected over the years. I watch my parents' faces, cataloging every proud nod, every affirming murmur. The room feels like a stage, and I'm stuck in the audience for a show I never auditioned for. Worse, I'm the understudy who keeps getting cut from the program entirely. You should learn from your brother, Mom says later, when everyone's moved to the kitchen. She doesn't look at me when she says it. She's loading the dishwasher, her movements sharp and precise. He works so hard. The implication hangs in the air. Unlike you, I want to defend myself. I want to list every achievement they've ignored, every milestone they've forgotten. But I've tried that before. It never works. My accomplishments are footnotes. His are front-page news. My mistakes get dissected and analyzed. His get explained away as learning experiences. Sure, Mom, I say quietly, and leave the room before the bitterness choking my throat can form into words I won't be able to take back. That night, lying in bed, I let myself wonder if I'm the problem. Maybe I'm not trying hard enough. Maybe if I were different, smarter, funnier, more like him, they'd finally see me. But then the resentment rises again, hot and acidic. Why should I have to change who I am just to be loved by my own family? The question has no answer. It just roots itself deeper in my chest, growing thorns. Back in the present, I'm hunched over my desk in my dorm room, textbooks spread around me like a paper fortress. My headphones are on, but I'm not really listening to the music. I'm scrolling through the family group chat on my phone, watching in real time as the congratulations pour in. So proud of you. Aunt Jennifer, amazing news. We always knew you'd be successful. Cousin Mark, can't wait to celebrate. My grandmother, my brother landed another contract, another win, another reason for the family to orbit around his gravitational pull while I float somewhere in the outer darkness. I close the messages and try to focus on my economics homework, but the formulas blur together. My phone buzzes again. A text from my friend Jenna. Hey! Bible study tonight at 7. First session is about identity and belonging. You should come. I stare at the message for a long moment. Jenna's been inviting me to this campus ministry group for months. I've made excuses every time. Too busy, too tired, not interested. The truth is more complicated. I grew up around church people. My parents dragged us to services when we were kids, more for appearances than conviction. I watched church ladies gossip in the parking lot. I saw deacons cut corners in business deals. I heard my mother invoke God's name to justify her behavior while treating me like an inconvenient obligation. If that's what faith looks like, I want no part of it. But lately, something shifted. The crisis with my brother. I got the call about his accident just yesterday morning, and my world hasn't stopped spinning since. The shock of it cracked something open in me, let in questions I've been avoiding. What if there's more than what I've seen? What if God isn't just another version of my parents, playing favorites, keeping score, withholding love until I earn it? I type back, maybe. I'll think about it. It's not a no. That's progress, I guess. I close my laptop and lean back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Could God care about someone like me? The question feels dangerous, like picking at a wound that's never properly healed. Every time I've reached for something spiritual, it's been tangled up with family expectations and performances. How do I separate what's real from what's been used to control me? My phone buzzes with another notification, this time from my mother. Please come to the hospital this afternoon. Your brother needs family support. The irony isn't lost on me. When I needed support last year, when I was struggling with depression so dark I could barely get out of bed, she told me to pray more and stop being so dramatic. But now, when her golden child is hurting, suddenly family means something. I grab my keys and head for the door anyway, because that's what I do. I show up. I'm present. I try, even when it costs me everything and earns me nothing. The hospital waiting room is a study in tension. Mom sits ramrod straight in one of those uncomfortable plastic chairs, her purse clutched in her lap like a shield. Dad stands by the window, pretending to watch the parking lot below, but really just avoiding eye contact with everyone. My brother's fiancée, Rachel, sits across from me, and when our eyes meet, there's this moment of recognition. We're both on the outside of this family's inner circle, both wondering how we ended up here. Has the doctor said anything new? I ask, breaking the silence. Mom's head snaps toward me. Not yet. We're waiting. The words are clipped, dismissive. Don't ask questions. Don't make waves. I just thought. The doctors are doing everything they can, she interrupts, her voice tight. We need to stay positive. Stay positive. Code 4, don't talk about anything real. Don't acknowledge the dysfunction. Don't point out that we've been a broken family long before this accident happened. Rachel shifts in her seat. I think it's okay to be scared, she says softly, and I could hug her for it. Mom's jaw tightens. Fear doesn't help anyone. The air in the room grows thicker. I can feel old resentments bubbling up, pressing against my teeth. This is how it always goes. Mom smoothing over every rough edge, pretending we're fine, shutting down any conversation that might require actual honesty or vulnerability. Maybe we should talk about I start, but Dad cuts me off. "Not now," he says without turning around. His shoulders are hunched, defensive. "This isn't the time." When is the time? I want to scream. When will we finally be honest with each other? But I swallow the words, because I know what happens when I push. I become the difficult one, the angry one, the one who can't just let things go and be grateful for what we have. Never mind that what we have is a family held together by silence and favoritism, and my mother's iron grip on the narrative. Rachel gives me a sympathetic look. She gets it. She's watched my brother navigate this family dynamic, seen how he's learned to play the role they've assigned him. She's also seen how it's damaged him in different ways. The pressure to be perfect, the fear of disappointing them, the inability to be honest about his own struggles because he's too busy being the golden child. A nurse walks by with a clipboard and Mom jumps to her feet. "Excuse me, do you have an update on?" The nurse shakes her head. "I'll let you know as soon as the doctor finishes rounds." Mom sinks back into her chair, and for just a moment her mask slips. She looks terrified, old, fragile in a way I've never seen before. I feel something twist in my chest, not quite sympathy, not quite anger, something more complicated, because I love her. Despite everything, despite the years of being overlooked and undervalued and blamed, I still love her. I love my father. I love my brother. That's what makes this so impossibly hard. If I could just hate them, it would be simple. I could walk away, cut ties, build a life where their opinions didn't matter. But love and pain are tangled together so tightly I can't separate them anymore. And I don't know if I'm supposed to keep trying to earn their love or finally accept that it might never come the way I needed to. The question that's been haunting me for years surfaces again. Can we truly face the truth? Or will doing so tear apart what little remains? I look around the waiting room at my fractured family, my father by the window, my mother rigid with fear, Rachel sitting quiet and uncomfortable. My brother lies in the ICU, machines breathing for him, and we're all here physically but miles apart emotionally. Something has to break, something has to change. I just don't know if that means everything will finally get better, or if we'll discover we were never as whole as we pretended to be. The fluorescent lights continue their relentless buzzing. The antiseptic smell permeates everything. And I sit in this cold plastic chair, suspended between resentment and hope, wondering if peace is possible or if all we have left is more pain waiting to be revealed. A doctor appears at the end of the hallway, and my mother stands immediately, her hands trembling despite her controlled expression. This is it. The moment when we find out if my brother will survive, if our family will have a chance at something different, or if this crisis will just be another thing we don't talk about, another wound we pretend doesn't exist. I stand too, my heart pounding, knowing that whatever happens next will force us all to finally choose. Do we keep pretending, or do we finally face what we've spent years avoiding? The doctor walks toward us, and time seems to slow down. My mother reaches for my father's hand, a rare gesture. Rachel is on her feet. And I'm holding my breath, caught between the past I can't escape and a future I can't quite imagine. The doctor's voice is measured, professional, but I hear the weight behind every word. We're gathered in a small consultation room now, the kind with beige walls and a box of tissues on the side table that nobody wants to acknowledge. My brother's vitals are stable for now, but the damage to his organs is severe. Internal bleeding, swelling. The list goes on, clinical terms that translate to one simple truth: he might not make it through the night. We're doing everything we can, the doctor says, looking at each of us in turn. But I need you to understand the severity of his condition. Mom sits frozen, her hands clasped so tightly in her lap that her knuckles have gone white. She nods once, a sharp, controlled motion. Dad stares at the floor, jaw working like he's chewing words he can't say. I stand against the wall, arms wrapped around myself, trying to hold something together that's already broken. The doctor leaves, and we file back out into the ICU room. Through the glass, I watch the machines keeping my brother alive, The ventilator, the IV drips, the monitors painting green lines across black screens. His chest rises and falls with mechanical precision. His face is pale, almost gray in the harsh lighting. I want to believe in healing. I want to have the kind of faith that moves mountains, that speaks to storms and makes them stop. But years of feeling invisible have worn me down to something hard and numb. Still, standing here, some desperate part of me whispers a prayer I'm not even sure how to form. God, if you're there, if you're listening, please. The words feel fragile, like they might shatter before they reach heaven. I don't know if God hears me. I don't know if he cares about the broken daughter standing outside her brother's ICU room carrying resentment like armor, but I pray anyway because what else is there? Later that evening, we're back in the waiting room, and the tension that's been simmering finally boils over. It starts small. Rachel mentions something about my brother's work stress, and Mom immediately deflects. He's always been so dedicated, Mom says, that familiar edge of pride creeping into her voice even now. He pushes himself too hard. Something snaps inside me. Maybe because you've never let him be anything less than perfect. The words hang in the air like smoke. Everyone freezes. Excuse me? Mom's voice goes ice cold. You heard me. My heart is hammering, but I can't stop now. He's been killing himself, trying to meet your expectations, both of you. I look at Dad, who won't meet my eyes. And meanwhile, I could break my back trying to get a fraction of the attention you give him, and it's never enough. That is not fair, Mom snaps, standing up. We've always treated you both equally. That's a lie. The words rip out of me, years of bitterness finally finding voice. You spent my entire life making me feel like I'm the problem, like if I could just be more like him, maybe you'd finally love me. Rachel shifts uncomfortably. Dad's still staring at the floor. Mom's face has gone red, her mouth a tight line. We do love you, she says, but her voice wavers. You're being dramatic. This is not the time. When is the time, I demand? When can we finally be honest about what this family actually is? Your brother is fighting for his life, Mom hisses, and you're making this about you. The accusation lands like a slap, because maybe she's right. Maybe I am selfish. Maybe my pain doesn't matter compared to his crisis. But then Rachel speaks up, her voice quiet but firm. She has a point, though. Mom whirls on her. You don't know what you're talking about. I've watched this family for 3 years, Rachel says, standing her ground. I've seen how you treat them differently, and I've watched what it's done to both of them. The room goes deadly silent. I can hear the distant beep of monitors, the hum of fluorescent lights, the soft whoosh of the HVAC system. Mom looks like she's been physically struck. Dad finally lifts his head, but he still says nothing. The coward's way out, always has been. I think we all need to calm down, Mom says finally, her voice shaking. We're under stress. We're saying things we don't mean. But we do mean them. That's the problem. We've meant them for years, just never had the courage to say them out loud. I walk away before I say something I can't take back. Before the anger consuming me burns down what little we have left. Hours later, it's past midnight, and I'm wandering the hospital corridors. I can't sleep. Can't sit still. Can't stop replaying the fight in my head, hearing my mother's accusation echo, "You're making this about you." I'm passing by a quiet alcove near the ICU when I hear a familiar voice. My brother's voice, low and strained. I freeze, hidden just around the corner. I don't know, man, he's saying into his phone. I'm so tired of it all. Silence as the person on the other end responds. No, they don't see it. They think I have it all together, the golden boy, right? His laugh is bitter, painful to hear. But I'm drowning under their expectations. Every success just raises the bar. Every achievement becomes the new baseline. When do I get to just be enough? My breath catches. I lean against the wall, listening. And the worst part, his voice cracks slightly. I know what it's cost my sister. I see how they treat her, how they dismiss her. And I've been too much of a coward to say anything because if I rock the boat, what happens to me? What if they turn on me too? Tears sting my eyes. All these years, I thought he was oblivious. I thought he bought into their narrative, believed he deserved the pedestal they put him on, but he's been drowning too, just in a different way. We're both victims of the same broken system, both crushed under the weight of roles we never asked for. I'm scared, he admits, so quietly I almost miss it. Scared I'll never be free of this. Scared I'll never figure out who I am, apart from who they need me to be. I slip away before he can discover me listening. Back in the elevator, pressing the button for the ground floor, I lean against the cold metal wall and let the tears come. Because everything I thought I understood just shifted. My brother isn't my enemy. The favoritism that's destroyed me has been destroying him too, just differently. Could reconciliation be real? The question follows me into the night. Back in my dorm room, it's well past midnight, but I can't sleep. I find myself reaching for the Bible Jenna gave me months ago, still sitting unopened on my shelf. I flip through it randomly, not sure what I'm looking for, until my eyes land on Romans chapter 8. For those who are led by the Spirit of God are the children of God. The Spirit you receive does not make you slaves, so that you live in fear again. Rather, the Spirit you receive brought about your adoption to sonship, and by him we cry, Abba, Father. The Spirit himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Now if we are children, then we are heirs, heirs of God and co-heirs with Christ. Romans 8:14-17. The words hit me like a physical blow. Children of God. Not based on performance, not earned through achievement or perfect behavior, not conditional on being good enough or smart enough or successful enough, just children, beloved, adopted, heirs. I read it again and again. Each time something loosens in my chest, some iron band I didn't know was there. My whole life I've been fighting for scraps of approval from my parents, trying to prove I'm worthy of love. I've measured my value by their standards, let their rejection define who I am. But what if that's not the only story? What if there's another identity available, one that doesn't depend on family dynamics or human approval? Could I be truly accepted by God? I whisper to the empty room. The passage doesn't answer in words, but something shifts inside me. A tiny seed of hope takes root. What if I don't have to earn love? What if I'm already seen, already known, already loved, not because of what I do, but because of who God is? It's terrifying and liberating all at once. Because if it's true, it means I can stop performing. I can lay down the burden of trying to be good enough. I can finally rest. But it also means risk. It means believing in something I can't control, trusting someone I can't see. It means stepping into a new identity when the old one, painful as it is, at least feels familiar. I fall asleep with the Bible open on my chest, those words echoing in my dreams. You are God's children. Dawn breaks over the hospital, painting the sky in shades of pink and gold. I'm back in the ICU room, coffee in hand, watching my brother sleep. The machines continue their steady rhythm. Nothing has changed. Except suddenly, everything changes. A doctor rushes in, checking monitors, studying the readings with furrowed brows. Another nurse joins her, then another. My mother appears at my side, gripping my arm. What's happening? She demands. The doctor looks up, and there's something like wonder in her face. His vitals are improving. Significantly, the swelling is going down faster than we expected. The internal bleeding has stopped. But how? Dad's voice from the doorway. The doctor shakes her head slowly. I'm not sure. Sometimes the body has a way of surprising us. But this? She gestures at the monitors. This is beyond what we projected. This is remarkable. The word miracle hangs unspoken in the air. I sink into the chair beside the bed, legs suddenly weak. Through the glass, the morning sun streams in, catching dust motes in golden light. I reach out hesitantly and touch my brother's hand. It's warm, real, alive. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit, I whisper, the words from Psalm 34,008 rising from some place deep inside me. I don't know where they came from. Maybe from childhood Sunday school lessons I thought I'd forgotten. Maybe from the Holy Spirit himself. But in this moment, kneeling beside my brother's hospital bed, watching impossible healing unfold, I feel it. God's nearness, his presence in the fear and pain, his tenderness toward the broken. Is this a miracle? I don't know. I'm not sure it matters what we call it. What matters is that hope, real, fragile, terrifying hope blooms in my chest for the first time in years. An hour later, I'm alone in the ICU room for a moment. Mom and Dad have gone to talk with the doctors. Rachel is making phone calls. I'm organizing some of my brother's belongings when a folded piece of paper falls out of his wallet, old, yellowed, the creases worn from being folded and unfolded many times. I shouldn't read it. I know I shouldn't, but my hands move before my conscience can stop them. The handwriting is my father's. To my daughter, I don't know if I'll ever have the courage to give you this letter. I've carried it for 3 years, rewriting it dozens of times, never finding the right words. I know what we've done to you, your mother and I. The favoritism wasn't an accident, it was a choice, and it was wrong. I told myself we were helping your brother reach his potential, that you were strong enough to handle less attention. But the truth is, I was afraid. Your brother was easier to understand. His path made sense to me. You were always more complicated, more independent, more willing to challenge us. And instead of celebrating that, I punished you for it. I watched you struggle. I watched you try so hard to earn our approval. And I said nothing. I let your mother control the narrative, let her smooth over every conflict, let her pretend we were doing nothing wrong, because confronting it would mean admitting my failures as a father. And I'm a coward. I'm sorry. I'm so deeply, terribly sorry. You deserved better. You deserve better still. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know if I can. But I need you to know I see you. I've always seen you. And the problem was never that you weren't enough. The problem was that I didn't know how to love you the way you needed. The problem was me. If you're reading this, it means something has pushed me to finally be honest. I hope it's not too late. Dad, the letter trembles in my hands. Shock crashes into relief, crashes into rage, crashes into something softer I can't name. He knew. All this time, he knew. And he said nothing. But he wrote this. He acknowledged the truth, even if he couldn't speak it out loud. He carried this guilt for years, just like I carried my pain. Will I choose forgiveness over bitterness? The question rises sharp and clear. Can honesty heal us, or will it break us beyond repair? I fold the letter carefully, slip it into my pocket. The power dynamic has shifted. I'm holding evidence of their failure, proof that I wasn't imagining things. I could use this as a weapon. I could force the reckoning I've always wanted, or I could use it as a bridge. When Mom returns, I'm waiting. I pull out the letter, lay it on the table between us. I found this, I say quietly. Her face goes pale as she recognizes the handwriting. Where? In his wallet. He's been carrying it for 3 years. The silence stretches between us, taut as a wire. We need to talk, I say. Really talk. No more smoothing things over. No more pretending. If we're going to be a family, if there's any hope of healing, we have to face the truth. Mom's jaw works. She looks at the letter like it's a snake. Your father didn't mean for you to find that. But I did find it, and now we can't pretend anymore. This isn't the time, she says, reaching for her familiar script. Your brother just... Mom. I cut her off, surprised by the steadiness in my own voice. It's always the time. It's past time. We've been avoiding this conversation my entire life. Her eyes fill with tears, the first I've seen from her through this whole crisis. I was trying to keep the peace. I was trying to hold us together. By silencing me, the words come out gentle, not accusatory. By pretending the favoritism didn't exist, that's not peace, Mom. That's just fear. She sinks into a chair, suddenly looking much older than her years. I didn't know how else to do it. Before I can respond, there's a knock at the door. A man in his 50s, wearing jeans and a button-down shirt, steps in hesitantly. Pastor Mike from our old church. I haven't seen him in years. Your father called me, he says, looking between us. He thought you might need someone to help navigate whatever's happening here. Mom's face is a mask of conflicting emotions. Relief, fear, embarrassment. I feel all of those too, plus something else, something that might be hope. I think we do need help, I admit. My voice is shaking now, the adrenaline starting to wear off. I don't know how to do this on my own. Pastor Mike nods, pulls up a chair. Then let's start where we are. What's true right now? What's true is that we're a family broken by silence and favoritism and fear. What's true is that we're standing at a crossroads. We can either face our wounds or let them destroy us. What's true is that I'm terrified and angry and hopeful all at once, holding my father's confession in my pocket like a grenade that could either blow us apart or clear the ground for something new to grow. What's true is that I glimpsed something this morning. God's nearness, healing that defies explanation, grace that might be strong enough to hold us even when we can't hold ourselves together. Pastor Mike waits patiently, his presence somehow making the room feel safer. Mom is crying quietly now. Dad will be back soon, and when he is, we'll have to decide, do we keep running from the truth or do we finally turn and face it? I don't know if grace is real enough to hold us. I don't know if we can rebuild what's been broken for so long. But sitting here, with my father's letter in my pocket and my brother healing and possibly in the next room, I'm beginning to believe it might be possible. The path forward is unclear, the cost unknown. But for the first time, I can see that there is a path. And I'm willing to take the first step even if my legs are shaking. I find myself wandering the hospital corridors until I reach the chapel. It's a small room at the end of a quiet hallway, dimly lit with wooden pews and a simple cross on the wall. Empty, peaceful. I sink into the front pew, and the silence wraps around me like a blanket. My phone is still in my pocket, and somehow I end up opening the Bible app Jenna installed months ago. My fingers move almost on their own, searching until I find Matthew chapter 11. I start reading from verse 28. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Matthew 11:28-30. The words land differently this time, not as religious platitudes or empty promises, but as a genuine invitation. Come, rest, lay it down. I've been carrying this burden my entire life. The weight of trying to earn love, the exhaustion of never being enough, the bitterness that's become so familiar it feels like part of my identity. What would it mean to actually put it down? To stop striving? To trust that Jesus sees me, knows me, loves me, not because I've earned it, but just because? The invitation to rest feels like freedom. But it also feels terrifying, because if I'm not the rejected daughter fighting for approval, who am I? If I lay down the resentment I'd been nurturing for years, what's left? I lean forward, elbows on my knees, head in my hands. Jesus, I whisper to the empty chapel, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to let go. But I'm so tired. I'm so tired of carrying this. Tears come then, hot and unbidden. Not angry tears this time, but something softer. Grief, maybe, or surrender, or both. If you're really offering rest, I want it. I need it. Help me trust you more than I trust my family's approval. Help me believe I'm yours before I'm theirs. The chapel doesn't answer with thunder or visions. The cross on the wall doesn't glow, but something shifts inside me, subtle as a breath, profound as an earthquake, a loosening, a release, the beginning of rest. Later, I'm back in the waiting room with Pastor Mike. We're sitting in a corner, voices low, while my parents talk quietly across the room. I keep thinking about what you said, I tell him, about forgiveness not being the same as pretending nothing happened. He nods, his expression kind and patient. Forgiveness is costly. It means choosing to release someone from the debt they owe you, even when they hurt you deeply. But it doesn't mean erasing boundaries or accepting abuse. You can forgive and still require honesty. You can extend grace and still ask for change. I turn this over in my mind. How do I do it? How do I forgive when I'm still so angry? Pastor Mike pulls out a small Bible, worn and marked with notes. He flips to Ephesians chapter 4. Listen to this. Get rid of all bitterness, rage and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians 4:31-32. Just as in Christ God forgave you, he repeats, letting the word sink in. You don't forgive from your own strength. You forgive because you've been forgiven. God's grace toward you becomes the power to extend grace toward them. But what if they don't change? The question comes out small, vulnerable. Then you trust that God is big enough to handle that too. Forgiveness isn't about controlling their response. It's about freeing yourself from the prison of bitterness. It's about choosing to believe that God's love for you is real, whether they ever acknowledge what they did or not. I sit with that for a long moment. Then I take a deep breath. I think I need to call a family meeting with you there. I can't do this alone, but I can't keep hiding from it either. Pastor Mike smiles gently. I think that's very brave. An hour later, we're all gathered in the waiting room. My mother sits stiffly in her chair, arms crossed defensively. My father stands by the window looking older and more tired than I've ever seen him. Rachel sits beside me, a quiet presence of support. Pastor Mike occupies a chair near the door, praying silently. I hold my father's letter in trembling hands. I found this, I begin, my voice shaking but steady enough. Dad's been carrying it for 3 years. It's an apology, an admission that the favoritism was real, that it was wrong, that he's sorry. Mom's face goes pale. Dad turns from the window, eyes glistening. I'm not sharing this to punish anyone, I continue. I'm sharing it because we need to finally be honest. All of us. We spent so many years pretending we're fine, smoothing over every conflict, avoiding hard conversations, and it's killing us. It almost killed my brother. My voice breaks on the last words, but I push through. I'm angry. I've been angry for so long. You hurt me. I look at my parents directly. You made me feel invisible and unwanted. You taught me that love was conditional, that I had to earn it, that I wasn't enough as I was. Mom starts to speak, but I hold up a hand. Please, let me finish. She nods, tears streaming down her face now. But I'm also learning something. I'm learning that I don't have to carry this bitterness forever. That God sees me as his child, not because I'm perfect, but because he loves me. And if he can love me like that, then maybe I can learn to extend grace too. I take a shaky breath. So, I'm choosing to forgive you. Not because what you did was okay, not because it doesn't still hurt, but because holding onto this resentment is destroying me, and I want to be free. The room is silent except for the sound of my mother's quiet crying. But, I continue, voice firmer now, forgiveness doesn't mean we go back to how things were. Things have to change. We need honesty. We need to acknowledge what happened and work to repair it. We need therapy probably, family counseling. And we need to actually listen to each other instead of just protecting our own comfort. My father finally moves. He crosses the room and sinks into the chair beside my mother, his face in his hands. "I'm so sorry," he says, voice muffled and broken. "I'm so deeply sorry. You're right about all of it. The favoritism, the cowardice, the silence. I failed you as a father." Mom reaches for my hand, hesitant. "I thought I was keeping the peace. I thought if I could just smooth things over, hold everything together, we'd be okay. But I was really just afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid of losing control, afraid of facing the truth." She's sobbing now, years of suppressed emotion finally breaking free. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you. I'm sorry I made you feel invisible." I squeeze her hand, my own tears falling freely. "I know it's going to be hard. I know we can't fix everything in one conversation, but we have to start somewhere." Pastor Mike speaks up gently. "Would you all be willing to pray together? To ask God for the strength to walk this healing path?" We form a circle, hands joined, awkward and tentative, but together. Pastor Mike prays for grace, for courage, for the Holy Spirit to guide us toward restoration. When he finishes, my father prays too, his voice cracking with emotion, asking God for forgiveness and strength to be the father he should have been. When my mother prays, she thanks God for not giving up on our family, for bringing truth to light, for the possibility of redemption. When it's my turn, I can barely speak through the tears. "Thank you for seeing me, for loving me, for teaching me what real love looks like. Help us rebuild what's been broken. Give us courage for the hard conversations ahead." We sit in that circle for a long time, not speaking, just being present. The path forward is unclear. The wounds are still raw, but something has shifted. The silence that held us captive for so long has finally been broken, and in its place there's room for truth, for tears, for the painful, beautiful work of healing. A month passes. My brother is home from the hospital now, recovering slowly but steadily. We're gathered around the dining table at my parents' house, something we haven't done in years, without tension crackling through every course. Tonight is different, quieter, more careful, but also more honest. "I start therapy next week," my brother says, pushing food around his plate. "Individual and then eventually family sessions, if everyone's willing." "I'm willing," I say immediately. Mom nods. "Me too." Dad clears his throat. "I've already scheduled my first appointment. I have a lot to work through." There's an awkward pause, but it's not the suffocating silence of before. It's just us, learning how to be a family that actually talks. "I want you to know," my brother says, looking at me across the table, "that I'm sorry too, for going along with it, for benefiting from the favoritism and never speaking up. I was a coward." "We were all afraid," I say softly. "All of us, but we're trying now. That's what matters." Mom reaches across the table and squeezes my hand. "Thank you for being brave enough to break the cycle. I don't think any of this would have happened if you hadn't forced us to face the truth. The years of bitterness haven't disappeared overnight. There are still moments when old patterns emerge, when someone says something that cuts, when I feel the familiar ache of not being enough. But it's lighter now. The burden isn't crushing me anymore. And when the pain rises, I'm learning to bring it to God instead of letting it poison me." 2 more months go by. I'm walking through the park near campus early in the morning, headphones on, but not really listening to music. Instead, I'm praying, really praying, not just desperate pleas in crisis moments, but actual conversation with God. The autumn air is crisp, leaves crunching under my feet. The sun is just breaking over the horizon, painting everything in gold. The Lord is close to the broken-hearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. Psalm 34,018. The verse comes to mind unbidden, and I repeat it quietly as I walk. It's the same verse I prayed over my brother that morning in the hospital when everything shifted. I'm still healing. Still learning what it means to be God's beloved child, instead of just the forgotten daughter. Still figuring out how to set healthy boundaries with my family while also extending grace. Still wrestling with moments of doubt and anger and fear, But I'm not alone in it anymore. God's presence has become real to me, not some distant religious concept, but an actual, tangible nearness. I feel it in quiet moments like this. I feel it when I'm struggling and words from Scripture come to mind, offering comfort and truth. I feel it in the slow, steady work of healing happening in my heart and in my family. I breathe deeply, letting the cool air fill my lungs. For the first time in my life, I'm learning what rest feels like. Not the absence of struggle, but the presence of peace even in the midst of it. Later that afternoon, I'm sitting in a circle with 8 other college students in a classroom that doubles as our Bible study space. Jenna is here, the friend who kept inviting me until I finally said yes. There are others, 2 students I'm just getting to know, each carrying their own stories of pain and hope. We're discussing Ephesians 4, and someone reads verses 31 and 32 aloud. Get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. That's hard, someone says. Really hard. It is, I agree. And then, before I can second guess myself, I share my story. Not all of it, that would take hours, but the essential parts, the favoritism, the bitterness, the crisis, the choice to forgive. The room is quiet when I finish, but it's not uncomfortable. It's the silence of people recognizing their own pain in someone else's story. How do you keep forgiving? A girl named Sarah asks. Like, what do you do when the anger comes back? I'm still figuring that out, I admit. But I'm learning that forgiveness isn't a one-time thing. It's a daily choice. Some days it's easier than others, but every time I choose it, it gets a little less heavy. And I keep remembering what Pastor Mike told me. I'm forgiving from the grace I've received, not from my own strength. We pray together before we leave, and afterward, several people thank me for sharing. Jenna hugs me tight. I'm proud of you, she whispers. Walking back to my dorm, I think about how different my life looks now compared to a few months ago. I'm still me, still the same person with the same history, the same scars. But I'm also being transformed. Slowly, painfully, beautifully. I'm learning that I'm not defined by my family's dysfunction, that my worth doesn't come from their approval or lack of it. But I'm God's child first, beloved, seen, known, accepted, and that identity is secure no matter what happens with my earthly family. I'm learning that forgiveness is a gift I give myself as much as others. That grace is stronger than bitterness. That healing is possible even when it's messy and incomplete. And I'm learning that Jesus really meant it when he said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." The rest isn't the absence of problems. It's the presence of peace in the midst of them. It's knowing I'm held by someone bigger than my pain, loved by someone who will never reject me, guided by someone who can redeem even the most broken stories. My family isn't perfect now. We still have hard conversations. There are still moments of tension and hurt. My parents are learning, struggling, growing. My brother and I are rebuilding trust slowly. It's fragile and imperfect, and there are no guarantees about what the future holds, but we're trying. We're honest. We're showing up for each other in ways we never did before, and that's enough for now. Maybe your family looks different than mine. Maybe your wounds come from somewhere else, a broken friendship, a church that hurt you, a marriage that's crumbling, a lifetime of feeling overlooked or rejected. Maybe you're carrying bitterness that's so old and so deep, you've forgotten what life feels like without it. I want you to know you're not alone. God sees you. He knows your pain. He's close to the brokenhearted. That's not just a nice saying, it's a promise. And he's inviting you right now to come to him, to lay down the burden you've been carrying, to find rest for your weary soul. It won't be easy. Forgiveness is costly. Healing takes time. But it's worth it. Freedom is worth it. Peace is worth it. If you're wrestling with bitterness or rejection today, I want to encourage you to take one small step. Maybe it's pausing right now to pray, Just an honest conversation with God about what hurts and asking Him to help you forgive. Maybe it's reading Romans 8:14-17 and letting the truth of your identity as God's beloved child sink deep into your heart. Maybe it's reaching out to a pastor, a counselor, or a trusted friend and saying, "I need help carrying this." Maybe it's writing a letter you'll never send just to get the words out. Or maybe it's actually having that hard conversation you've been avoiding for years. Whatever it is, you don't have to do it alone. God's grace is real. His love is unshakable, and He's powerful enough to heal even the deepest wounds and break even the most entrenched cycles. You are His child. You are seen. You are loved. You are worthy, not because you've earned it, but because He says so. Come to Him, find rest, and watch what He can do with a heart that's willing to trust Him even when it's hard.